Hey everyone, in block 7 of It's Your Turn, we are looking at annotated assembly drawings. So we're looking to take 3 parts that we made previously in 1.22 and put them together in a drawing sheet with a title block and then do an annotated assembly. So we need to put them together in a separate assembly. So in this video, I will show you how to just recreate these shapes so you have them for use during the lesson. So I'm going to start with a rectangle. I have the dimensions underneath, and this is in 1.2.2. That's block 2 of It's Your Turn. So block 2, It's Your Turn. We have 3 simple shapes to make, but if you're new to Fusion, they can be a little tricky. So I'll slide that over here. I'm in Fusion. We want to make sure that we make these separately so we can use them in an assembly. So I make sure I'm in Design. I click Create Sketch. I'm going to work on the XY plane. So XY, have the X going to the right, the Y going up, down. Click here and it will bring it in front of me. I'm going to scroll my mouse wheel so it's a little closer. Use the pan at the bottom of the screen. I think it's hiding from your view here. Here you go, pan. When I use that, I can move anything around without interfering with my work. So we'll take a simple 2-point rectangle up in the Create tab. We'll start at the origin and we'll drag it to the right. I'm not clicking over here, I'm just dragging, so it's still free to move about the axis. And we're going to make this 3.5. Use a tab key to toggle in between the dimensions so I don't have to click and drop. And then the bottom is going to be 0.5. So 3.5 by 0.5. Scroll out so you can see the whole thing. Bring that down a little closer. Now I'm going to hit E on my keyboard. There's 2 ways to do this. You can do Finish Sketch and find Extrude, or you can just hit E on your keyboard and it will bring it right in front of you. There's the Orbit tool so I can see it a little slightly. Orbit tool is right down here. Looks like an atomic symbol. Hit Escape so I can get out of that. And it says we need to be width of 1. So we have a marking menu here. That's a free floating menu. You can grab to the left, put it wherever you like while you're working. It correlates to the display dialog box that pops up here. So when I type 1 here, it automatically pops in here. Hit OK. And that is it for our rectangle. For the little triangle here, we want to make sure that we do it in a separate file so that we can bring it into an assembly later. So I'm going to click up to the top in Fusion. It says plus, new design. I'm going to click that. I'm going to click Create Sketch. I'm going to choose the XY plane. And I'm going to scroll my mouse wheel so it's a little closer. Use the pan tool. So it comes up in front of us. There we go. You can use the polygon tool for this. Drop down menu, polygon, circumscribe. Pick 1 and 3. That puts it on the origin. I'm going to use the line tool because it's easy. It's available. I'm going to click the line tool, start at the origin, drag it to the right. I see my horizontal constraint there. It's the little jagged light blue lines on the bottom there. That means that I am going directly along the x-axis. When I vary away from it, the constraint goes away. So I want that. I'm going to hit 1. And then I have my first line. I'm going to hit Escape on my keyboard, and I'm just going to drag this below because I want my triangle here. Go back to the line tool, and I'm just going to finish the triangle without paying attention to how long it is. I'm not really too worried. You can do it exactly, but you can just drag it down. So there's 2 lines connecting. Now I want to make sure they're the right size. So I'm going to come up to the top, hit the Dimension tool. I'm going to grab the line to the right. Doesn't matter which one you pick. Left click, hit 1, and then you see it's slightly askew. So I think I'll hit Escape on my keyboard. So if you see my mouse, it still has a dimension tool on it. You can dimension the other side, but let's try constraints while we're here. Hit Escape on your keyboard. Come up to the equal sign. click it, click on the one you just dimensioned, it's 1, and then click on the one that's not dimensioned, and now they're even. Hit escape. If you don't trust it, you can check it by hitting the dimension tool and clicking on that line. You'll see a 1 pop up, and hit escape. You'll also see the equal constraints on your triangle. So we're going to hit E on our keyboard so that we can make this 3-dimensional. Use my orbit tool to move it around. You don't have to, I just like to see it happening. And it says it is 1. So this is the marking menu. I can type it in here, or I can type it in distance here on the right. Try this one this time. You can either go that direction or the other by switching directions down in the menu box. 1 side, 2 sides, or symmetric. For what we're doing, it doesn't matter. Symmetric does double it in size, so you would have to change your distance that you're going to do. So we have 1. You can also push pull like this and get it to the exact dimension if you want to go the other way. Again, doesn't matter. So I'll leave it there. That's a -1. But we're just throwing them together on top in assembly, so you'll see that that doesn't matter for what we're doing. Hit OK, and you're done there. Got your little triangle. So we're going to come up to the top, and we're going to click a new design and make the last part the cylinder. There's 2 ways to make a cylinder. We can come down on the bottom plane here and make a circle and extrude it up, but let's try a revolve so we can see how that works nicely. Back to the XY plane, just like the other 2. Click that. Scroll it so it's a little closer in front of me. Bring it up using the pan tool. And we're going to make a rectangle. Rectangle tool, regular 2-point rectangle. Click on the origin. Drag up. You can either click and get the dimension tool and put the dimensions in. But if you don't click, you can very easily just type in between. So it is a height of 2.5. I'm going to click tab on my keyboard. And then it is 1 on the bottom. I'm sorry, we're going to revolve it. So we're going to put 0.5. It says diameter 1. So we're going to put 0.5 down here. 0.5, enter. 2 by 5 by 0.5. So there you have your rectangle. Scroll out a little bit. And now we're going to finish the sketch. Top right corner, click that green check mark. And that lets us close up our solid body. We have a closed structure. And we can revolve. Hit the revolve tool. It automatically selects the profile for you. That's why this is not highlighted on the right, and it's looking for the axis. This pane pops up to remind you where you are. That's all that's for, to remind you, hey, you're on the XY axis. Do you want to revolve around X and get a figure that looks like this? Probably not. So we're going to undo that. Hit revolve, and then you want to make sure you're going around the Y axis. And you don't have to do anything with this, just make sure it goes full, which it defaults to. Hit the orbit tool, and look at your work. Okay, we'll be back to look at the assemblies later. Thanks.